Listen up, Internet! Pre-orders for Nintendo Switch 2 begin on April 24th. The wars are coming again. Well, retail wars, so be ready. Today I've got the good, the bad, the interesting, and some other stuff about tariffs. So, some global things are happening today. What's happening, gamers? Kwing here, one of the co-hosts of KwingsLetsPlays, and today we're going to be talking about Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders, what happened, and what's going to happen eventually. Or maybe not. Anyway, if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe, and if you like or dislike the content, subscribe anyway. Thanks so much. Alright, so I know there's some confusion going on about the Switch 2, so we're gonna talk about it today in detail, because content. Alright, so here's the nitty-gritty. April 24th is when the pre-orders for Nintendo Switch 2 is happening in the United States, and it means it's gonna be a bloodbath. We don't know how much GameStop and all these other companies will charge, but I will let you know. Amazon, Best Buy, you gotta pay that $450 up front. Game stores, it's usually about $150, $175. And I have no idea what Nintendo's eShop thing is gonna be. But remember, you have to prove that you have hundreds of play hours. And if you don't, they're not gonna let you pre-order the system through Nintendo. So it's best to go fight the pre-order battles all around the retail starting this Thursday. And good luck, for you will need it. You will have to defeat old ladies, old men, parents, and teenagers skipping school in order to pre-order the Switch 2. Although how they have enough to do that, I don't know. But Amber and I also will be dividing and conquering and pre-ordering at numerous places, so it's going to be interesting. Because we want to do a giveaway, remember? So the Switch 2, of course, will be coming out on June 5th, and the pre-orders now officially are happening on April 24th. So, yay! So, what price has changed? What's going on? I'm happy to report that Nintendo is going to sell the system at cost. The tariffs are not going to do anything. In fact, there is a pause on the tariffs right now, unless you're China, and then it's like a whopping 125 or 50%, which, yikes. But remember, I told you guys before that Nintendo moved all of their manufacturing to Cambodia and Vietnam during the Biden administration because they wanted to avoid high taxation with China. And, well, they succeeded, for the most part. However, apparently they still have some factories that are doing the accessories. So what are accessories? The camera, the controllers, the Joy-Con 2, the Pro controllers, carrying cases, AC adapters, like USB cords, everything that's considered an accessory, like a strap, has now been raised $10 or more. So what does that mean? That means instead of paying like $70 for a Pro controller, you're going to spend $85. If you're going to get the brand new Switch Joy-Cons, you're going to end up paying $95 or more. So yeah, unfortunately the accessories could not make it out of the tariff stuff. And while I'm a little sarcastic, you know, it's better that than the console and the games. So the games prices, even though we've been kind of like, you know, yikes with the $80 and the $70 and things like that, the games MSRP will remain the same. It's not changing as far as we know. The console will be sold at $449 for the base console, and then if you want the limited time bundle, it's $500. So $50 more, which is what the original thing was. And when I meant Nintendo was selling the games and the system at cost, here's a little lesson for you guys that you probably didn't know about. The Nintendo Switch, when it was sold for profit because the technology in the Switch was older. Now, in order to put all the pieces together of the Switch 2, you're looking at around $410, roughly. All the different parts, all the technology, all the cutting-edge stuff is about $400 for Nintendo to produce. So essentially, they're selling the system at cost. If you actually pay the $50 extra with Mario Kart, then Nintendo is selling a little bit above cost. So, yay. But the Switch, they definitely sold for profit. The Nintendo DS, they sold for profit. The Wii, they sold for profit. Basically, PlayStation and Xbox, when they sell their systems, they're selling at a loss, more or less. That's why they have to sell a lot of them. So Nintendo, even though we've been villainizing them, like, come on, everybody's been villainizing them, that's actually a pretty cool thing to do. They could have been like, all right, we're going to at least do the 10% tariff between Vietnam and the United States and Japan, and they're like, no, we're going to keep it the same price that it was. It's $449 right now, as of April 18th, until the system comes out June. So after that, I don't know. But those of you that are pre-ordering the system now, I mean, that's not a bad deal. So again, Nintendo Switch 2, $449, which is, you know, $450, and Mario Kart Plus, you know, for $500. The price is not changing for that. If you're trying to get the accessories, yes, the price is going to go up for that because Vietnam tariffs and what's going on with China. Japan is actually frantically trying to get their factories out of China and move to Cambodia and Vietnam fully, but unfortunately the accessories are made in China, and well, China and America are kind of going at it with the tariff wars. How long that's going to last, I don't know. There's a 90-day pause with everything else, and then they might start back up again between the other countries, and they might not. Vietnam and Cambodia and Japan have all come to an agreement, or an accord, so to speak, and everything's working out for there. So that's all you need to know about that. And I'm done with my little lesson there. But yeah, if you guys didn't know or not, the Nintendo Switch, the original, Nintendo sold for profit. And because the brand new system is much more cutting edge, like I said, it's going to be more expensive. It's more expensive to get the parts. It's more expensive to put together. And, it, you know, Nintendo is not one of those companies that's going to sell for a loss. They'll either sell it at cost or they'll sell it for profit. So just be thankful that the system isn't $600. Because if it was $600, then they would be making a profit. But they're basically eating the tariffs for the console and the game prices. So that's a good thing. That actually is a pretty good thing. For the whole accessories thing, I mean, it is what it is. I think that we were going to lose that battle anyway. That isn't to say, like, maybe in a couple years those prices will go down. Nintendo Switch accessories were, you know, priced pretty comparably for years. The Switch 2 accessories are going to be very, very expensive. And, I mean, that's a given. But remember, you can connect your original Joy-Con controllers. You could connect your original Pro controllers, which I'm sure you have those lying around, and you can use them on the Switch 2. How you're going to do that, I don't know. But those controllers work really great. There's only 2 new buttons that were added to the Switch 2 controllers. So, I mean, you really want to pay $92 or $95 for just 2 brand new buttons that you probably don't really need anyway. At least, I don't think so. Maybe not until some, you know, later games come out. But I'm just going to keep using my Switch Pro controllers for now. I don't really see a reason to upgrade for that. So here's what's going on with pre-orders, okay? So get ready to put on your war paint, guys and gals, because this is about to get real. Supposedly, there's a rumor going around that EB Games / GameStop will be doing midnight pre-orders on the 24th. So as soon as it clicks the 24, that is where GameStop is going to be doing its thing. And possibly Best Buy. So, you know, a lot of people wait for 10 in the morning and then everybody frantically does the online thing. So you might need to be paying attention to social media because these things are going to sell out like hotcakes because there's a rumor going around that the tariffs are going to cause an increase in the price of the system if the tariff wars don't stop by sometime in the fall or around the holidays, which would be killer for, you know, anybody trying to get the Switch 2. So you got to pre-order this thing now. Got to cough up that money and, you know, do some favors before April 24th and try to get that thing. And Amber and I are going to do our best too. So I wish everybody good luck. If the midnight thing is true, you know, keep checking back with your local EB Games / GameStop, whatever you guys call it nowadays, and see what's going on with that. I have my places that I'll be looking at: mom and pop stores, game stores, retail outlets. We're going to do the best we can to, you know, whoever is able to get us the system, and then we'll drop the pre-orders at other places. Like, there's really no reason, or we could switch them to maybe games or accessories or something like that. Make sure you reserve some of the games if you guys are doing physical, or, you know, you could even do a reserve on some of the accessories like the Pro controllers and things like that at GameStop, and then when you can afford it, you know, just pick it up because they'll have to get you your stuff eventually if you pre-order it. So, you know, the store will see, oh, we didn't give out one of our pre-orders, so yeah, just bear in mind with that. That's an old little trick you can do at GameStop. But anyway, now I want to hear from you guys and gals. How do you feel about the whole, you know, Nintendo Switch pre-orders thing? Are you excited? Are you upset still? Or you think Nintendo actually did something pretty noble at keeping the tariffs off the console and the price of games? Let me know in the comment section below. I think it's actually pretty cool that Nintendo actually is, you know, gonna take that blow because they could have charged a lot more for the system with the economic wars going on. So, like Nintendo or not, you gotta admit, that was a pretty cool move, because we could have paid anywhere between $550 and $600 with a 10% or 15%, like, you know, increase. on sales tax and tariffs and international stuff, and imports. So, just so you know, I mean, I don't want to say this very loud, but the Nintendo Switch 2 and all game consoles are considered toys. Now, you know how Kappa feels about that word, so I'm not going to get into it. They're not labeled as home electronics. If they were labeled as home electronics, then the tariffs wouldn't even matter to us. But the fact that, you know, the ESRB and some other companies label Nintendo as a TOY company, that's part of the reason why tariffs are a big problem. So, if you want to blame anybody, go after the ratings board and go after the Federal Trade Commission, because it's their fault for not recognizing what the system is, which is a electronic entertainment device, just like a phone or probably not a VCR, because people don't sell those anymore. A DVD player. Nope, nobody has that anymore. Do they consider the PlayStation a toy, or is that an entertainment system? You know what? Let me know in the comment section below. But anyway, people, that's it. That's all. I will see you guys live later tonight with an awesome live stream on something. Plus, we're going to be starting a brand new series because Xenoblade kind of bombed. So, look forward to a brand new series at 3, and then Mario Kart around 6. Okay, guys? God bless, happy gaming. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this news update. And good luck on the pre-order battles on April 24th.